Hello, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode, the latest news blast from the Essays and Espresso podcast. With me today, high energy, Daniel.
Hey.
Every day it's this. And Boken, are you here?
I'm here. I'm actually high energy.
See,
I'm having coffee right now.
You should aspire to be more like Boken, Daniel. As the new host of this Essay and Espresso podcast, the new permanent host, it would behoove you to try to suck up to me like Boken is doing.
That's not what I'm doing at all, but okay.
And in today's episode, we're going to be discussing positive gaming / media developments.
So positive media developments.
Well, it was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. I wanted to do positive gaming development, and Boken was like, but we could talk about more than gaming. And I was like, our loyal gaming listeners, they will suffer. They will suffer. But I was outvoted by anime boomer Daniel.
This is true. I am an anime boomer.
Yes. Boken and I, we only watch currently airing anime, though.
Fucking weebs.
This is also true.
I don't watch anime. I just want to put that out there. Anyways.
The most exciting anime development for me was knowing that Rose of Versailles got released on Blu-ray.
I don't even know what that is.
It is a old, I think it came out in the 80s anime about a woman whose father was super pissed that he gave birth to another fucking daughter, and he's like, no, fuck it, I'm just gonna pretend you're a boy.
Oh, that's like the reverse of Wasp Factory. Did you ever read that?
I have not.
That's a brutal book about... So the father hates women because his wife left him, and it's a little spoiler for a book that's really rough. No one's gonna read it. Who cares? So the main character is a boy who was castrated when he was young by a dog. But at the end, we discover that, no, it was actually a girl all along. And her father just raised her as a boy because he hated women. And it's a really, really gruesome book.
What?
But we should move on.
The fuck are you talking about?
Wasp Factory.
Why? What? Why cast? No, I understand, but trying to wrap my head around the detail that he is castrated.
Well, she believed she was a castrated boy.
Oh, that's what he told her?
Yeah.
That's fucked up. That's
really
fucked up.
It's a fucked up book.
Well, okay, so Rose of Versailles, it came out in 1979. The story takes place way before... It takes place during the French Revolution. And the main character is Lady Oscar, and she hangs out with Marie Antoinette. So it's pretty good, actually. It's considered like one of the best shoujo anime of all time. So I'm
shoujo, I believe is that kind of anime where the little schoolgirl runs out to the streets with a piece of bread in her mouth, right?
Typically, yes, but not this anime. This anime has sword fights and horseback riding and politics.
Oh, yay.
Boken's favorite.
Yeah.
I think Boken...
There's actually one scene like that, but she's running out with an entire baguette.
Ooh.
Oh, clever. I see what you did.
God,
there.
That was bad. I'm sorry.
Unironically, I
tried to
Boken
make that
like
more
this.
palatable somehow as a joke. Like
this is
bring
like
in the toast equivalent of the French Revolution, and that's all I got.
This is like saying Australia tried to come up with their own version of Saw, but they called it the Boomerang.
You mean Saw the movie?
Yes.
No,
I'm saying
Boken's was better.
That's how bad the joke is. I'm saying that you made.
No.
No,
Yes,
yours was much worse.
But that's how the fuck is this saw like a boomerang?
I'm sure you could cut someone's limb off with it if you tried hard enough.
I'm pretty sure you can't.
I think
The
I've
right
allowed
hands.
you two to joke too much. I think we should stay on
too much
topic.
joking.
Too much joking. I remember when Bogan hosted once, and he was very strict about that.
Wait. When did Boken ever host? When did that?
He
fucking
hosted
ever happen?
once.
I did.
What? When?
You gave me shit for it the entire time, and now you don't remember?
I'm an old man, Boken.
Yeah, clearly. Last fucking time we talked about the Wrong Turn movies, and we talked about all the Wrong Turn movies that exist, and I also said I hadn't watched all of them, and now that I have the rest of them on the docket, then he was like, what, there are more Wrong Turn movies?
Yeah.
No.
Well, excuse me for not remembering this
goldfish
detail
memory.
about the prestigious Wrong Turn movie series.
It's been
Speaking of
14
which-
days, Daniel.
Speaking of which, Daniel, shut up. Speaking of which, Bogan, do you want to tell us about Wrong Turn?
I can. Because last time I've talked about Wrong Turn 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yes.
And there are a couple more left that I've also watched.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Just a quick recap. Wrong Turn. These are movies. The first one was okay, and then they just became trash.
The first one was a proper horror movie. Not a great one, but it had at least an attempt at a horror movie with like moody lighting and scary camera angles and shit.
It was
And then-
decent.
It was decent. And then the second one, apparently the second one is the most well-liked one. Even though I fucking hated that, but it's that one goes like completely in the opposite direction, where it's now a gross out torture porn movie that is all about like disgusting cannibals doing disgusting shit and killing people in the most gruesome ways. Apparently people really enjoyed that. I don't. It
Me
was
neither.
uncomfortable to watch, and I mean,
Okay,
I guess
so-
the point is that it's uncomfortable to watch, so they achieved that, but it was comically dumb.
Okay,
and
so from your
disgusting.
perspective, then, what do you think that makes the sequel a fan favorite?
Well, if you are into like the Resident Evil 7 dinner scene, or the fuck is the movie called?
I mean, the dinner scene in Resident Evil 7 was pretty good.
Yeah, but that other famous movie,
Human
was
Centipede.
Leatherface? No,
Oh, Texas Chainsaw
Texas
Massacre.
Chainsaw Massacre. That is also that sort of dinner scene, right? But in those scenes, at least the Resident Evil one, from what I remember, that has at least a little bit of class and taste to it, and a little bit of tension. And in Wrong Turn 2, that scene is just disgusting and completely just overplayed. For me, but apparently people like that sort of thing. I mean, if you just want to be grossed out by horror, then okay, have fun.
Okay, because I have noticed that there are like a lot of horror fans that they learn to appreciate these shitty horror movies for like very specific reasons.
I mean, so did I. I watched all of them. They're kind of bad, but I still enjoyed watching them. I guess.
No, yeah, I'm just saying like I know, like I know there's a lot of horror fans in general. They're like, oh, I'm just there for the gore, or I'm just there for like, you know, the kill scenes or stuff like that.
Yeah, sure. But are there other reasons to watch horror movies or bad horror movies? Other than, fun kills?
I mean, bad ones, I don't know, but obviously there are more reasons to watch good horror movies.
Sure. Yeah, but I mean specifically bad ones because obviously you're there to see
the camp,
to see just the camp, the blood,
the
what
bad
they
acting.
do. Cool, I guess cool monster designs is another draw.
I think with these bad horror movies, a lot of it also comes down to like they're very creative in the way that they're made because they're typically like these really low budget affairs, and they have to like everything is it feels like it's like held together with like scotch tape, and it can be endearing to see people come together and try to make this movie on like a shoestring budget.
It can be, yeah. It can also be incredibly obnoxious and transparent. I remember specifically a movie that I watched on Netflix. It was called like Satanic or some shit, and it looked so cheap and so bad. And then the entire climax of the movie at the end was just a character getting lost in some abandoned fucking parking building, and then spooky shit happening with no rhyme or reason, and it's just people being taped to walls with, what looks like spider webs and just dumb effects that look really cheap, and it had like no structure and no plot, but 40 minutes of, ooh, this is scary, and then, oh, here's another jump scare. Just because they had nothing. They had that fucking building and nothing else.
I see. I mean, I don't watch a ton of horror movies because I don't know. I with me, I'm kind of weird with horror, where like I wouldn't consider myself a fan of the genre, but the few horror things that I'm into are among my favorites. Like your Silent Hills and shit like that.
Sure.
But yeah, I don't go
Yeah,
out of my way to watch shitty horror movies. My sister does that. She's like a fiend for that shit. So
yeah, it's fun. I don't know why it's so fun. It's just, again, I've talked about this before, but I can't even watch horror without getting really uncomfortable because I'm easily scared. But there's something so fascinating about that whole genre that I can't stop thinking about it, and I can't stop just checking it out.
I think the thing about horror is that it is the hardest, either horror or comedy, but I think horror, it is the hardest to do well. So when you see genuine effort to try to do it which fail, you can get like really sort of, this is so bad that it's kind of good.
I think that could be the case, especially with things that are like an original IP. I think it's a little bit harder to swallow if it's tied to a series that you're a fan of.
Yeah, that's true.
Like,
I don't have any joy in post-Team Silent Hill games.
I think Shattered Memories is good.
People say that.
That's the only one I would ever like. Homecoming is trash. Downpour is trash. Just fucking just ugh.
Yeah.
I think like the best way I can describe those games is like if they try to release like a greatest hits album from a band, but it's not the actual singles. They're performed by like these shitty cover bands that you've never heard of before, and they didn't even bother to like get any of the lyrics or the instrumentation right. So
also it's not the best songs.
Yeah, it's not even the best songs. So you just have this like shitty greatest hits album that like doesn't even sound like the band, and it only occasionally like, oh yeah, that kind of sounds like them, but is otherwise just garbage.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let me get back on topic then. So Wrong Turn 5, worst movie in the series, easy.
Whoa!
Like, that was fucking joyless.
Why is it so bad?
It's
I'm host. I should ask that. Bogan, why is it so bad?
It is incredibly mean-spirited in a way that makes it just not even fun as a horror movie. It's just the ending is a complete downer in a way that's more cruel than this series has deserved, because it's not like this is some profound commentary on the just the universe being shit and life being meaningless or whatever. It's just another case of really bad torture porn.
Yeah.
And then just the entire premise is it's a small town during like a Halloween sort of festival. It's not Halloween itself, but it's some sort of festival where everyone dresses up as like monsters and shit. And then so that's obviously used so that the fucked up cannibal hillbillies just walk around town, and people don't notice that they're fucked up cannibal hillbillies. Instead, they're treating them normally. But for some reason, that happens like 2 or 3 times. But then, whenever we get back to the normal characters, the town is completely empty. And then they are getting hunted by the hillbillies, and no one is anywhere. And I don't understand what the fuck happened there. Like it's so nonsensical that I'm not sure. I maybe missed a line that explains this. Maybe it's 2 towns over or something, but none of this made any sense, that they keep being hunted throughout the streets of the city, and every street they're in is completely empty, and no one calls the fucking police outside of the one sheriff that is there. It's fucking really, really dumb and just really stupid. And it just didn't have any sort of levity whatsoever. And then Wrong Turn 6 might be the best one, actually, even though it's also incredibly fucking stupid. But it's about the group of kids that one of the main character basically in the group has gotten a letter that he is heir to this sort of hotel / estate in the forest, where people just they're running a hotel there basically. That's why it's called Last Resort, I guess. And he got a letter that the people who are running it, it's a brother-sister pair. They want him to come there and to run it with them. And as it turns out, they're sort of related, and that's why they got him, because they are part of the inbred cannibal family that has been there for all of this series, I guess. Even though there's like no visual, they look like normal people, and the other cannibals look like fucked up monsters.
Are there any recurring actors in any of these films?
No, because they all get killed off, except for the 3 main cannibals.
Oh.
Who basically just, I don't know, they keep showing up and they keep working together with quote-unquote normal people. And it makes no sense, that because they can't talk, they can only talk in grunts. And sometimes they're really dumb, and then other times they're smart and they listen to commands, and
imagine
they go kill. They kill on command. They get told to kill people, and then they do. And
it must be so good, like for those actors, to have like, this is a steady paycheck. These movies keep being made, and all I have to do is grunt and go where the other actors point me to go and stuff. Yeah. I would definitely do that. Are you kidding me?
But I think those 3 main cannibals, they are only there for movies 4 to 6.
Oh.
And I think I think they're part of the first one, but those aren't the same actors. I think they just brought those characters back because they didn't have anything else to bring back in later movies.
Oh.
And then they're portrayed by different people. But only from movie 4 onwards, they're the same monsters, basically.
Why is Last Resort the best one?
It's the best one because it actually tries to, like, they get the rich kid, which has gotten the letter that he's supposed to run the hotel. They sort of turn them to their side, and he makes a heel turn against his own friends. And they have a couple of really, like, actually almost borderline artistic scenes in there where they keep bonding with a fucked up brother-sister pair, and his friends keep annoying him and telling him, like, we're not supposed to be here, let's go, and this sucks, and you know, that sort of dynamic. And it's more effort put into that script, even though it's still dumb, than any of the other movies after the first one. And it still has fun kills. And there was a scene where the brother who was running the hotel takes the rich kid hunting, and they're hunting a deer. And you hear, like, he's giving him a rifle, I think, and he's getting him to shoot the deer. And there's a sort of narration where they talk about, like, oh, the hunter stalks the prey. The hunter lets the prey come to him instead of come to the prey. And he hides and blah. And then,
that's not what a hunter does. That's what a trapper does. I'm sorry, go on.
No, but there wasn't a trap there. They were just waiting until the deer actually came near enough to shoot it. They didn't.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. And then, like, intercut with that scene is a scene where one of the cannibals is hunting a policeman who is trying to investigate the murders that have been happening. And it's like the narration suddenly applies to both, and it's intercut where, like, the cannibal shoots the policeman and the rich kid shoots the deer, and it's like, you know, the meaning is obviously that they're becoming closer, that he's spilling blood for the first time, and the cannibal is always spilling blood, that sort of stuff. And it's like, wow, sort of artistic vision in this movie, in this Wrong Turn 6 movie that I didn't see coming. Yeah, that was really enjoyable.
Nice.
I'm sure no one else likes that movie, but I did. And then I watched the remake, or whatever it is, that came out in 2021.
I like that you just wrote down Wrong Turn 2021. Like,
well, that's the name.
Yeah, it's just it's like such a generic remake. Like, you have Halloween, and then you have, like, Halloween in brackets. What was it, 2020, 2019 when they did the I it's just a pet peeve of mine, like, this sort of lazy remake naming. Yeah,
it's like God of War 2017.
Oh yeah.
And then, like, I was just imagining the next game then being God of War 2 2022, not to mistake for God of War 2 2008. You know,
well,
like,
they could have.
I'm pretty sure they're calling it Ragnarok.
Yeah, it's called Ragnarok. I know.
They could have called.
But it's still dumb.
They could have called it Goth of War, because the Vikings had Goths. They were like the chief Vikings who would go on to. This is an interesting. Bogan, what's the deal with Wrong Turn 2021?
See, I would say that this is just a random horror movie that they put the Wrong Turn name on, because that's a name that hasn't been used in a while. But I think it's actually made by the guy who directed the first Wrong Turn movie. They actually brought him back in. But this time, it's a fucking mess. It's 2 hours long for no reason. And there are no more inbred cannibals. Instead, the group of youngsters get lost in a forest, and they encounter this sort of technology-rejecting group of villagers that have built their own society. And because they're basically preppers who believe that the civilization is going to be ending soon, and they will be the foundation. That's what they're called. The foundation of a new civilization.
Oh, we should have those, just in case. Get, like, schizophrenic, paranoid people to build their own societies in case ours collapses.
I mean, I don't care. I'm not going to be around for that. So, whatever.
Well, you're just going to shoot yourself at the first sign of things going wrong?
No, but I'm pretty sure I'm not gonna survive any apocalypse.
Oh, I'll thrive.
I'm among the first to go.
I'll be like king of the wasteland.
No, you won't.
I think I will.
You're a fucking nerd.
No, I'm not. I think, Bogan, I'll put it out here right now. I think I could kill a bear if I was fighting it in combat.
Okay, please present your argument.
I think that I could throw a rock between its eyes and shatter its skull way before it would be able to reach me.
I don't think you can throw a rock that's big enough, and you can't throw it strongly enough to actually shatter a bear's skull.
That's actually a thing. Like, one of the greatest evolutionary advantage humans had way back when was that we have incredible throwing. Like, no animal in the world can throw like we can. We have great hand-eye coordination. And just, like, throwing a rock in between, like, at the head of a saber-toothed tiger and whatever, that was a legitimate strategy. We have a lot of saber-toothed tigers with just the skull is broken because they smashed it with a rock.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm not afraid of a bear. I think I could take a bear.
I think when you're out there in the wilderness. What if it's dark? What if it's night?
Well, then it's dark for the bear too, Bogan.
I think he can smell you.
I'm not going to be able to smell that mangy old wet shit-covered fur? Get out of here.
Probably not.
Guys, I can do this. I can do this.
You have a lot of misplaced confidence.
That's gonna serve me well in the post-apocalypse. The people will be like, he claims he can take a bear. I don't know, but I don't want to fuck with him.
Yes, this pasty nerd. I don't want to fuck with him.
I just saw this meme the other day. About like Pat from the Super Best Friends. It's just a pic of him, and then the headline is, this guy is super wrong, but he's also really loud, so who knows?
I love Pat.
So yeah, anyway, the Foundation, basically they end up killing one of the Foundation hunters, because it's so dumb, man. The Foundation hunters, they trap one of the kids, and it looks like they're taking them away to eat them or something, because they've already hunted them before in the forest, and definitely one of them died to a trap. Mm-hmm. So they're understandably on edge, and they're trying to defend themselves. And so they end up killing one of the hunters, and then they get brought into the village and put on trial. And for some reason, they can't make even though the villagers are, like, I get the impression they're supposed to come off as somewhat sympathetic and, like, neutral and understanding. That's why they don't kill them instantly, but put them on trial. And these dumb kids don't manage to make the argument that one of us already died and you were hunting us in the forest, so we just acted in self-defense.
Oh. And
because they're too dumb to make that argument, they kill another one of the kids and then gouge one of them gets their eyes gouged out and put into a prison, and then the other two make the argument that they will join the Foundation and live with them. And so suddenly, halfway through the movie, this is now, like, the last two remaining characters are now living there in that Foundation. And meanwhile, the father of the main girl is now looking for the girl, and he comes into the village, and then they break free. And then when they're broken out, suddenly, like, the leader of the village is now back, like, stalking them now, and he suddenly shows up with the main girl's family and threatens them. Like, it's such a fucking mess. It was like 3 movies in one, and they didn't know what they wanted to focus on. And this is nothing to do with inbred cannibals anyway. I don't know why this is a wrong turn movie. I have no idea. The first 45 minutes where they're actually in the forest and they're getting hunted by these wild people who Actually, like it's somewhat scary because these hunters are like they have these like animal carcasses on, or like antlers and animal skull masks, and they actually look pretty creepy. So that was somewhat effective, but then it just takes five turns throughout the story, and it's all dumb.
Would you call them wrong turns?
Yes. This
That was so bad.
wrong turn 2021 of the script.
That's your review then. It took a wrong turn.
No, it took 5 wrong turns.
Yeah, I'm gonna edit out when Daniel said that.
It was 2 hours long. No horror movie should be 2 hours long.
But theoretically, if you make enough wrong turns, wouldn't you eventually end up in the right destination? The final destination, even?
No, that's not how.
That's not how math works.
Geography works.
I don't know.
You can make a wrong turn, walk a little bit, make another wrong turn, walk a little bit, and suddenly you're completely elsewhere.
But if you make enough wrong turns, you just might end up where you're trying to go to.
It's funny. I've actually been like when I go jogging, I usually go jogging through the city that's near me, like through the city streets. But I also live near a forest that I know pretty well because I've been living here my entire life. And when I go jogging through the forest, I'm like, okay, I need to fill my 40 minutes so that I actually jog for a long enough time for there to be any effect. And then I start improvising on my route, and the last 3 times I got completely fucking lost. Even though I'm supposed to know where I am, and I'm supposed to have this at least little bit of orientation where the fucking civilization starts again, but I got lost every time. And
I don't want to be with either one of you in a heads maze, to be honest.
I told you, I'm the first to go when civilization breaks down. I make one wrong turn during a jog, and I already have to pull out my mobile phone and check Google Maps.
You should have made 5 more wrong turns, and eventually you would have found civilization.
But it's like you actually start getting worried. It's like, am I on the wrong track? Like, I'm sure if I run this way for another 5 minutes, I'm gonna see buildings again. But what if I don't? Then the track back is gonna be extra long.
You don't have Google Maps in Germany?
No, I said I needed to get Google. I needed to pull out my phone and check Google Maps, but I didn't want to. Like.
Well, I mean, at least you have your pride.
I'm not going on an adventure. I just went jogging through the woods. I shouldn't get fucking lost, but it did.
This is your destiny, modern man. Getting lost in a local woods.
Yeah.
Calling it an adventure.
There's a whole episode in The Sopranos that's all about 2 of the characters getting lost in the woods. And it's one of the best fucking episodes in the whole show. It's fucking hilarious.
Is Steve Sharippa in that episode?
Yes. Yes, he is.
He's my favorite actor in that. He's very funny in podcasts. Even though I've only seen like 10 minutes of the first episode.
So a funny thing about Steve Sharippa in that episode. So there's a scene where because his character likes to go hunting and he has his like little hunting outfit. And there's a scene where James Gandolfini is supposed to laugh at his outfit. But James had already seen the outfit before. So, he couldn't genuinely laugh at it again. So what Steve did to get a genuine laugh out of him during the recording of that scene is you couldn't see it in the actual shot, but Steve Sharippa was holding a giant dildo. And then James just started cracking up.
That's pretty good.
It's the things actors do for each other.
Oh yeah.
But that episode is like it's gone down as like it's called Pine Barrens. The episode it's gone down as like one of the all-time great Sopranos episodes because Pauly and Christopher. Christopher, who is Spider, the actor that played Spider in Goodfellas. The two of them are trying. They're at first all they're trying.
He's
to do
a family. He's not a family friend, but a family member of mine has partied with him. So I'm basically famous, guys.
You are through like 3 degrees of separation famous. But yeah, they're trying to get some money from this Russian guy, but it goes wrong, and then they end up like they think they killed the guy by accident. So then they take him to the woods to try and bury him, but then it turns out the guy was still alive, and it turns into this whole thing where they're trying to kill him, and he's run away, and they can't find him, and then they eventually get lost in the woods, and then the rest of the episode is them just like at each other's throats, lost in the woods. It's fucking hilarious. So that was basically you, Boken. Minus a buddy to like argue with,
and a giant dildo for comedy.
It's a mild pen.
Well, I don't know if you'd had a dildo or not. I'm not gonna assume.
Well, we don't judge here. We don't kink shame, Acer.
That's true.
Okay.
I had a...
Thanks.
Yeah. We're great friends.
I also watched another horror movie that's called Relic. And this is
Was it good?
It was actually good. Like, this is a legitimate good horror movie.
Is this one of those good horror movies or one of those subtext and themed horror movies?
No, it's one of those subtext and theme horror movies.
Okay. Interesting.
I know this would make you scream, but I don't know. I still recommend it, even to you. This is... I don't know how much... I feel like this has been a recent development in horror, because there have been a couple movies like this. I know some people like to call it elevated horror. I know some people get mad at that because, you know, they don't feel like these movies have a right to take an elevated position over the genre. But it's the type of movie where the horror it's mostly unclear if it actually exists. And it's representative of emotions or some sort of emotional conflict.
Just like Silent Hill.
That the movie is
I feel like that's every horror movie of the past 20 years.
No.
Yes.
The fuck?
No.
The slasher?
Yeah, no.
No, not slasher. Movies. But like, you know what made Gunjiam Haunted Asylum so great? They're just ghosts. You don't need any of that heavy-handed subtext. Oh, it's actually
heavy-handed.
Coming from the guy that has fucking made commentaries on the Silent Hill series, what the fuck are you talking about?
I only like Silent Hills for the scares and spooks.
Oh, come on.
No, look. I don't know. I feel like ghosts are much more effective when they're just ghosts doing ghost shit, and you don't need to know, like, it doesn't need to be about anything. It can just be a character who's afraid of ghosts.
And ghosts are lame.
You're lame.
Look, you can have I don't mind having horror movies about ghosts, or demons or whatever. I know the way I just described this horror movie made it not sound very special, but I feel like there have been a couple movies like this that are very low budget, but still nicely shot, and like it's not a lot of production value, but it's a lot of just mood and atmosphere and just made up with good camera movements and good lighting and all that shit.
I talked about a movie like that last time, I think. About that rabbi.
Yeah, probably. You didn't talk about it much, so I don't know if it applies there. But it's like, sure, you can have a movie that is just a monster movie, and you have some kind of monster actually stalking people, or you can have, and this is what I'm talking about, sort of a drama story that is told through the lens of a horror movie, if that makes more sense. Like Relic in particular is a movie that is ultimately about dementia and having to take care of someone in your family that is growing old. That is what the movie is actually about, but it's told in the way of this old lady living in this creepy house alone, and then her daughter and granddaughter coming there trying to check up on her, and she's behaving weirdly, you know. And then you have some scares, you have but it's not a lot. It's just a shadowy figure in the background that is there and then it's not there. And just weird sounds all over the house as they're trying to sleep, that kind of stuff. And it's like moody, and the dialogue is minimal but well written, and it's just an atmospheric mood piece basically. But the subtext and the meta is all there. And as they deal with the horror element, that is what they're actually when they're actually dealing with the emotional conflict that the movie is about. And there have been a couple movies like that. Like I in particular loved The Black Coat's Daughter. Or there has been The Witch, I guess, just sort of a coming of age story, but told in a horror way. And then I think Under the Silver Lake had a couple elements of that. Just these sort of small horror, no, well, not small horror movies, all of them, but very subdued horror movies that I've really enjoyed lately.
Cool. I might recommend it to my sister because she's always watching horror movies.
Yeah, sure, but not if she only likes trash.
She loves all kinds. She likes the good stuff. She likes the trash.
Okay. Yeah, get her to check out The Black Coat's Daughter. That was fantastic.
All right.
If you dare.
Yeah. It's not scary. See, that's another thing I like about those. They're not really scary. They're moody and they're a bit oppressive, but they don't have a lot of jump scares, so I can sit through them.
You should watch. You should watch Gonjiam Haunted Asylum. That's very moody too.
Yeah, maybe.
Just be warned. The first 10-15 minutes are just. I think they're South Korean kids hanging out, and it feels like it begins like a total shit movie, but then it gets good. If you make it through the first 15 minutes, you're in for a good movie.
They dare to build character in the first 50 minutes?
Well, see, I think that was the point, but it's like they do in 15 minutes what they did. The very first scene where they all meet did all the character building that was necessary, but then they're like jumping into the ocean and doing stuff together. It's just like, I don't know about any of this.
Okay. Yeah. That is another aspect of what I enjoy about these movies. It's just that there's a lot of slow atmosphere building. So the few dialogue scenes that need to be there are very economical, I guess.
Yeah.
And it's just they get across the information that needs to be there without a lot of flourish.
Yeah.
So yeah, Relic, good movie. Also from Australia. I don't think I've seen a lot of Australian movies in general.
Have you seen Mad Max?
Yes.
He's Australian.
Well, I have only seen the last one.
Oh. The second one is also good.
I know.
The Road Warrior. Anyway, Daniel, what have you been up to?
I've been boring.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So, anyway...
Hey, sir, what have you been up to?
Hey. No, so I've been busy with real life shit. So, unfortunately, the only video game that I've played throughout this entire time, whenever I had any free time, has been Final Fantasy 14. We already talked about that last time, so I'm not going to talk about it more. I will say, though, at the very least, I'm at the end of the Stormblood expansion. I'm about to go into Shadowbringers. So
Have you paid
that's
money
exciting.
for the game yet?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I've been paying for it for a while now.
You absolute slave of Square Enix's. No, I'm kidding. Do you think there's anything to Sony buying Square Enix?
Nah.
For people listening, we record this probably a month before you hear it. So this news broke like a couple of days ago. Square has denied it, but obviously they're gonna deny it. If you signal desperation to be sold, then you lower your price tag. But yeah.
I don't know.
I think Sony might, only because it would make so much sense of what has been happening with their Japanese studios. If they're just gonna, we're not gonna have our own Japanese studios, we're just gonna buy Square and let them do this Japanese stuff.
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense for Sony. I don't know if it makes sense for Square to allow themselves to be bought out like that.
Yeah.
I don't.
I believe it. I don't want it.
I believe that Sony wants to do it. I don't believe it will happen.
What do you think, Bogan?
I have no idea.
Okay.
As I said, I do not follow these things.
What do you guys think?
And I kind of don't care.
So like I said earlier, news this will have developed somewhat when this episode comes out. Also, there's been rumors of Microsoft trying to buy Bethesda recently. I don't know when this episode's gonna be out. Ha 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 ha. See, that already happened. The listeners are laughing. You two don't get it. That's why you're being silent.
Yeah. When you said it, I was like, no, that's wrong. Anyways, so aside from aside from Final Fantasy 14, I have listened to some audiobooks, and apparently there's some contention amongst these fuckers as to whether that counts as having, experienced the book, because they're like,
no, that's not what I said at all.
Yeah,
also,
that's exactly what you said.
Already trying to make my argument weaker by mischaracterizing
straw manning. But also, we talked a bit about this before we started talking, but we also talked about Daniel being forgetful. We've had this conversation before.
We have had it before, so I don't know why it keeps getting brought back up.
Because I don't know why either. What audiobook have you been...
It's me. I keep bringing it up.
What audiobook have you been reading, Dan?
What audiobook have you been listening to?
What audiobook have you been reading?
I have been reading them with my ears.
Ah.
So...
I would still like a reply, by the way, to my point that if I take an essay video and I download the audio file and I listen to that, did I read the essay video?
No, you didn't.
No, because that's different.
Because
you're converting, like okay. It'd be one thing if I wrote like a script and I sent it to you and you just listened to it on like Microsoft Word. If you told me, yeah, I read it, I'd split the difference. It doesn't matter. But if you just...
It kind of does matter, though, right?
No, because you're dropping the video element of it. I don't know.
A video essay. Like, okay, we can make jokes about how, like, herp-a-derp video essays are basically just podcasts or whatever. But the video component of a video essay does exist for a reason. And for a lot of them, you are missing out on a part of the intended experience.
I'd say it's the difference between listening to the audio of a movie and listening to a reading of the script. It's different. But it's also a point I don't want to dilly-dally on. That's a word.
Right. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally.
What is Neil Patrick Harris doing?
So Neil Patrick Harris He wrote a book it's one of these memoirs because I just can't get enough of them for whatever
You're
reason.
absolutely obsessed with celebrities. We get it.
Yeah.
I just like hearing about people's lives. I don't know what to tell you. But at the very least, what makes this one stand out amongst the ones that I've discussed before is that it's a choose-your-own-adventure novel.
Oh.
Now, obviously, I listened to the audiobook version, so I could not experience it as a choose-your-own-adventure novel. So what he did instead was he talked about his life in one part, and then in the next part he says, okay, so what if I made this decision and then I died?
Okay.
And it would usually be like this completely ridiculous scenario where he said that once for one of them, he said that Josh Whedon called him and he decided, oh, let me go see what Josh Whedon wants. And then for some reason, he started sinking in quicksand. And then Josh Whedon says, no, Neil, not before we record the sequel to Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog. And then he just dies.
Is the book called How I Met Your Neil Patrick Harris?
No.
He was on that show. Did you know that?
Yes. Yes, I did.
We all know that.
I've seen
Even
that.
I know that, and I don't care about the man at all.
I've seen that show from start to finish.
He voiced the Music Meister on Batman the Brave and the Bold. That's the best thing he ever did. No, he voiced Nightwing in Under the Red Hood. He was really good in that.
Wait, he did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, that was a good movie.
That was a good movie.
Anyways, it's a good book. It's very fun, lighthearted. He voices it himself, so he does a great job. It's very. If you just want a nice, chill memoir to listen to, that's like fun and funny and
non-offensive, clean.
Yeah.
Something your grandma would like.
I don't know if I'd go that far because he does talk about coming out as a gay man and the trials and tribulations of that. So it's not 100% like a squeaky clean book or anything like that.
Okay.
But it is a very fun and entertaining
grandmas
book.
famously hate gay men, but okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was kind of an indictment right there.
Well, I mean,
coming out as a gay man, that is a very dirty subject.
I don't mean
Grandma doesn't want
that
you
it's a
back
dirty
for Christmas.
I don't mean that it's a dirty subject. What I mean is that there is challenging material in the book because that was something that was hard for him to go through, and he does talk about that, and that could be uncomfortable for some people.
Okay.
On the other hand, I also listened to another book called Golden Voice, which was Pain.
What is that book?
So, do you know who Ted Williams is?
He's the hobo who became a radio guy.
That is correct. So originally, he was a radio host back in the 70s, and he was doing really well for himself. He was making a lot of money. He was well known. He was a local celebrity, in Columbus, Ohio. But then, drugs.
They have those?
Drugs completely ruined his life. And he went from this successful married man with kids and a life, and he just turned into a junkie.
Married with children, yes?
Yes, and the majority of the book is just him talking about what it was like to be homeless and to just be starved for drugs day in and day out for decades. It was a thoroughly unpleasant experience.
But he's clean now, right? Got his life together?
He is clean now, yes. So for those that don't know, what happened, I think it was back in 2010. He got videotaped. So someone got their phone out and they were like, I want you to earn your dollar. Let me hear that voice. Because he had this like sign that said like, God gave me this gift, this golden voice. And in the video, he looks like shit, but when he starts talking, you hear his like deep baritone voice, and he has this like little scripted line where he's like, if you want to listen to the golden oldies, tune into 98.5 or whatever. This little thing, and he sounds fantastic, even though he looks like dog shit.
It's like Bette Midler. Looks like crap. Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, he genuinely has a great voice, and thankfully he was the one that read his own audiobook, so you get to hear that great voice throughout the whole book.
Oh.
But yeah, it was just really rough. Not something I would readily recommend to people if hearing about someone just completely destroy their lives with drugs. If that's not your cup of tea, maybe skip this one. But I guess I would put it like this then: if you are if you haven't been scared by drugs yet, maybe listen to it for that reason, just so you can be like, oh, this is what my life could turn into if I allow drugs to destroy my life. Okay.
Scared
cool.
straight. Scare him straight, Daniel.
Yes, if you want to be scared straight away from drugs, then yes, listen to the book.
If you want to, if you want to be,
didn't know.
If you want to be scared gay, however, listen to Neil Patrick Harris's book.
Neil Patrick Harris, yes. There you go.
I didn't know Daniel was a straight edge weirdo.
I'm not. I'm not a straight edge.
I don't know what that is.
I'm just saying that, like, if you're the type of person that, like, you want to understand what drugs can do to you if you allow them to take over your life, then listen to this book, and this guy will explain how he became fucking homeless and how he destroyed his life. And he got lucky at the very end when, he became YouTube famous.
I hope to one day become YouTube famous.
Anyways, the next book I listened to is Unfollow. Now, do you guys know who the fuck the Westboro Baptist Church is?
Yes. But I don't know if this is a topic for the podcast.
Don't worry, I'm not going to get too deep into it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to have any religious arguments. No, this book is written by Megan Phelps Roper. She was born into the church. Like her mom was the one that ran things. And the book is basically about how she was born into it, what her life was like, and how she eventually left, and how she had to try and adjust to living a normal life because she had been so thoroughly just like entrenched in this bullshit for her entire life. So this was a frustrating book at times just because, like, I felt like shaking these people and being like, you people are fucking delusional. Like, you people are out of your fucking minds. So, because, like, I feel like even if you are religious, like, you'd get that reaction from listening to this because, like, the way that these people act is completely out there. And it took a while for her to finally realize that as the book goes on. And she does a good job of kind of, like, detailing her thought process and, how things, like, slowly started chipping away at her. And she started realizing more and more, like, oh, this shit's really fucked. Because, like, the way that it's presented in the book is, like, they all thought that they were the only righteous ones. They were the only good guys in the world, and the whole world was just evil. And they just, like, completely convinced themselves of that narrative. And it took her a very long time before she realized how that was just completely wrong. So I think this was a really fascinating book. Again, not sure if this was something I could readily recommend, just because it is pretty tough subject matter. But I thought it was super interesting. So give it a listen if the subject matter is fascinating to you.
Okay.
So not very interesting to you?
I have no idea what the Westboro Baptist Church does.
Oh, that's okay.
They're the God hates faggots people, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
they used to hold up signs at like soldiers' funerals, and they would they would just like do protests all the time for like the dumbest shit, and they kept talking about how like God hates America, God hates this, God hates that, and it was all over the news for a while, especially back in like the early 2000s and the mid 2000s. They were all over the place. It was pretty bad. But yeah, it was very interesting. Now the next thing I want to talk about, and this is the last thing, is do you guys know anything about Jonestown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I listened to a podcast recently called The Last Podcast on the Left, and they did
What?
what? What?
I get the.
What?
You know how many podcasts there are on the left?
That's literally the name of the podcast.
Yeah, I know. It's a dumb name.
It's based on the name.
You're not special.
It's based on the name of a movie.
Okay.
The last house on the left.
I'm Googling them. This seems like a horror podcast, not a political podcast.
No, they're not a political podcast.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah, the podcast is all about talking about different cults and talking about like serial killers and a bunch of crazy shit. They had one episode about the chupacabra. They had another episode about Aleister Crowley.
My favorite Yu-Gi-Oh card, one-off, is based on Aleister Crowley. Called Aleister the Invoker, a very powerful engine which Konami refuses to kill, even though all the other decks are stealing it from me.
So, after I beat the game Sagebrush, which I talked about in one of the previous episodes, I showed the game to my sister, and my sister really enjoyed it, but she also pointed out, like, oh, this is based on this cult, and this is based on that cult. And I was like, oh, really? How do you know about these? And she mentioned the podcast. And then I thought, oh, it might be interesting to do some research and listen to them, and then because they also cite their sources, and I was like, okay, I'll listen to them talk about it, and then maybe I'll check out some of the books that they recommended and do some research and maybe do a video about Sagebrush and talk about the cult inspirations for the game. And right now, I just finished listening to their episodes on Jonestown, and they recommended a book called The Road to Jonestown, which I haven't gotten around to yet, but I will. And I just thought it was all super fascinating that this guy, Jim Jones, who was fucked from the start, he was just born fucked. When he was a little kid, the way he would play with other little kids was to sneak into to morgues, and they would hide in coffins to pretend that they were dead.
Oh.
This kid was fucked from the start. And so he was fucked from the start. He had aspirations of greatness. He eventually got his wife had the right connections. So politically. So when you consider all of these different factors that are constantly ping-ponging off of each other, he's fucked up, aspirations of delusions of grandeur, the right connections. It all kind of just became this whirlwind that eventually turned into Jonestown, and then he eventually led like over 900 people, almost 1,000 people, to kill themselves over fucking nothing.
No, there was a meteor.
No, there wasn't.
Well, I think he told them there was a meteor or something.
No, he was paranoid that the government was going to kill them all. So he was like, well, we should take our deaths into our own hands. And they, quote unquote, drank the Kool-Aid, which is a misnomer. they didn't actually drink Kool-Aid, they drank Flavor Aid. And I think it's hilarious that Jim Jones wanted to be known as a great man in history, and the only piece of his legacy that he left were Jonestown itself, which is looked at as like this big what the fuck failure, and this shitty little phrase, don't drink the Kool-Aid, which isn't even accurate. So fuck you, Jim Jones, you piece of shit. This is better than what you deserve.
So were the people on board with killing them? I mean, I'm going to assume that if you have 900 people, definitely not everyone is on board with killing themselves.
There were...
But what did he put in there to kill them?
Cyanide.
Does that kill you quickly?
No. It's like 20 minutes of pain before you die. Minimum 20 minutes of pain.
Wait, I'm thinking of a different cult when I say the meteor. There was some bald fucker in sneakers who killed a bunch of people.
You're thinking of Heaven's Gate.
I'm thinking of Heaven's Gate. That's it.
Yeah.
No, yeah, Heaven's Gate happened in I think the mid to early 2000s, something like that.
Oh, I thought that was like from the 60s or whatever.
No,
Oh.
that's Jonestown.
Whoa.
Well, Jonestown happened in the 70s.
It's all coming together now.
Yes. So to answer your question, Boken, yes, a lot of people completely bought into it and thought that Jim Jones was great, and they were like, yes, I want to die for you, Jim Jones. But there were also people, obviously, that were not a fan. They were like, no, I don't want to go through with this. And those people were forced to drink the Flavor Aid and were forcibly killed. They were murdered. I would honestly, even the people that went along with it, I would still call that a murder regardless, because Jim Jones essentially brainwashed these people.
Yeah, did you ever read Ordinary Men?
No.
No. Okay.
Did you ever listen to it?
Did you ever listen to it? It's on.
No.
It's on Audible now. They, I think they released it like last year.
No, I don't know what that is.
It's about these police officers during Nazism, and it just details how little by little these guys who were just normal police officers became these bulldogs for the Nazis. And just how easy, like how little it took for them to just absolutely lose it and become savages. It's a good read or a good listen.
I'll think about it.
It's funny. I only know about Jonestown because there's a Manowar song about it.
Wow, that is random.
I think it's called Guyana, in parentheses, and the Cult of the Damned. And I remember looking up those lyrics, and the more I looked up those lyrics, I didn't understand what the fuck they even have to do with Jonestown at all. But that led me to actually read up on it a bit. And then now that you just mentioned Heaven's Gate, I only know Heaven's Gate because I think a speech of that leader is sampled in a Porcupine Tree song.
You would also know.
In one of
you'd also know Heaven's Gate because Deadpool called Professor X Heaven's Gate in one of the Deadpool movies.
I have only seen the first one, and I remember nothing about it.
So the thing with Jonestown is Jonestown tricked people to go into it via religion, even though Jim Jones himself was an atheist. So he kind of like was trying to draw in people with with religion, but it was actually like a pseudo socialist society that they were trying to create. But Jim Jones was basically just like this fucking weirdo dictator that he even had a fuck schedule. He had this schedule where he would have sex with like certain women at certain times of day. Let's contrast that with Heaven's Gate, which is the most boring fucking cult where no one was having sex. no one could even like have too much stimulation in any way. Like it was just a shitty cult where the two leaders just they just managed their cult. They just managed all the people in their cult and just told them what to do. They're like, oh, at 2 p.m. you're going to do this chore. You're going to clean, and then you're going to take a bath at this time, and then you're going to eat at this time, and then that's it. That's your fucking day. Like, it was so weird.
Weren't they waiting to die and pass on as a new sort of evolution of humans?
Yeah, so they sort of. So they considered their bodies vehicles. They didn't even like. They were so detached from their human bodies, like they didn't even like. It was weird. Like they just didn't even like acknowledge themselves as themselves. It's very disconnected, very strange, and they thought that the souls inside of their bodies was like their true selves. So they killed themselves at the end because they wanted to ascend. They wanted to just go to the next level. It is so bizarre.
That's kind of that's kind of Scientology. Again, not to be Scientology is like it's always hairy when you talk about religion because people's religions are very sacred to them. I think everybody kind of agrees that Scientology is a load of bullshit. I feel like that's the only one you can kind of just kick forever.
Yeah, I mean, I remember there was an interview with some guy that left Scientology, and he was asked like, "So did you guys ever talk about the weird fucking shit in your religion?" And they're like, no one brought it up. Like, the basis of your beliefs, no one fucking brought it up. No one talked about it.
Yeah. I own a copy of the Book of Dianetics. I was gonna read it as like, you know what, this is an interesting thing to know. It's like 700 pages of tiny font and big, like, it's so dense. I'm not gonna read this. I thought this was like a little handbook. But these are like the mad scribblings of a coke addict or something. No, you know what, I shouldn't say that. L. Ron Hubbard apparently wasn't, he wasn't drugging. Apparently, like, he created Scientology as an alternative to drugging because he was trying to self-medicate or something. It was weird. But yeah.
Yeah. So the last podcast on the left, the reason I know about Heaven's Gates because they did episodes on that as well, and they did do episodes on L. Ron Hubbard too, and I'm going to be listening to them next because I am rubbing my hands in anticipation to hear about how the fuck Scientology became a thing. I am fascinated with that idea. Just like how did he get to that point? I want to know.
Well, there was a lot of sort of pseudo new religions in America at that time. I think there was just a spiritual lapse and people were looking for something. And yeah.
Well, I will find out. But that's basically all that I've done recently. Hopefully I'll have more interesting things to talk about next time.
What about we instate a rule where at least one of us has to talk about a fucking video game during our topics?
I brought up Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, wow. You brought it up and then you shut it down.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Asa. If you read our topic list, you will see that I had a video game list. That I had a video game on my topic list.
Oh, but you didn't talk about it.
And you skipped over it.
That's true.
Oh, that's right. Do you want to talk about it? Okay.
No.
Well, see now
for next time.
My complaint remains. Okay, so bringing it home now. I watched Mank.
Not even starting with the game.
No, I'll end with the game. I watched Mank with Gary Oldman. It's
that was directed by Fincher, right?
Yeah. John Fincher.
David. You will respect the Fincher.
Who the fuck is John Fincher?
Nobody.
I have no idea. know who the fuck is John Fisher?
Nobody. It's just a funny thing.
No one. No, it's Parvati Shiloh's husband.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know either.
Anyway,
I just looked
That's
it
a Harry
up.
Potter character, right?
do you guys know who?
Survivor?
Do you guys know what? Do you guys know what Mank is about?
No.
Okay, do you, Bogan?
That's a Pokemon, right?
No, that's Mankey, I think.
Yeah, it is.
Mank is the guy who wrote Citizen Kane, and this movie is about like the kind of moments, the weeks, months leading up to him writing Citizen Kane, and him reading. Like it takes place while he's writing it, and you have flashbacks that go over like a few months earlier, a few weeks earlier, and it's sort of.
Oh man, do
getting
I
at
have
the-
to do homework? Do I have to watch Citizen Kane to watch this movie?
You get to watch Citizen Kane. That's a great movie. And the movie has, of course, cinema's greatest character, who was also a real human being, Orson Welles. He's always
No,
great.
but, that was a semi-serious question though. Is it recommended to
yeah,
watch Citizen
yeah.
Kane first?
Look, you can totally watch Mank without having seen Citizen Kane. It totally works, but it works much better if you've seen, because Citizen Kane, the script is he was writing about a specific man, and you're not going to get a lot of the relationship between Gary Oldman and that man if you don't watch Kane. You're not going to get that. And so yeah, that's it. This is just like one of those movies that is really good. That girl is in it. I think it's Amanda Seyfried. Who's the old man in Game of Thrones?
There are a lot of old men in Game of
The
Thrones.
one, though. He was in Dracula. He went like
Tywin Lannister? I don't know which character.
he has like
you mean.
a hook nose kind of. He's got like, he looks evil.
There are a lot of old men in Game of Thrones.
I have to.
that looked evil.
Yeah.
Do you mean the
Evil
villain from
old
the-
man,
well, yeah,
Game
the-
of Thrones. Enter Charles Dance. His name is.
And who is he in Game of Thrones?
Charles Dance, Game of Thrones.
Jesus.
Enter. The Jewel in the Crown. Some Lannister.
Do you mean
Uh.
Tywin Lannister then?
Yeah, it says here, Tywin Lannister. Yeah, he plays William Randolph Hearst. William Randolph Hearst was a newspaperman back in the day who used his newspapers to essentially... So, this movie happens when Upton Sinclair ran for governor, and there's always been a bit of a contention whether William Randolph Hearst weaponized his almost newspaper monopoly in California to get I don't know what his opponent's name was, but anyway, the other guy got elected, and there's always been this contention that Citizen Kane is actually about William Randolph Hearst, because he used to be a very different kind of man, and then he becomes old and bitter, which is the same as Citizen Kane, even down to Kane having a newspaper business. But yeah, this is a great movie. It should win every award. Gary Oldman should live forever. He's a great actor.
How does it make you feel that you will probably experience the death of Gary Oldman?
Well, assuming I get his power, then I'm okay. That
Is he All Might?
no, Dracula. What is this?
Didn't that Dracula movie suck?
Yeah, it sucked.
That was a My Hero Academia reference.
Oh.
Yeah, but he whatever.
You should do more.
I have nothing to say about this.
This is a good movie. You should watch it.
Yeah, okay.
You should also
great.
watch Citizen Kane. That's the best movie ever made.
No, you have spoiled Citizen Kane.
No, I haven't.
Yeah, you have. You told me what Rosebud is.
Oh, boo, ballady hoo. Everybody knows what Rosebud is.
No, I didn't
Have you
know.
ever watched The Simpsons?
You told me.
It was a sled. It was a sled when he was a kid.
Well,
I saved you from your
Spoilers,
too
hello.
long boobless hours.
that's from Family Guy, Daniel. You rule.
Yeah, I know.
I don't watch Simpsons or Family
Citizen
Guy.
Kane is not about.
Or Citizen
Kane
Kane.
is not about discovering what Rosebud was. That's just a framing device. Citizen Kane is about the life and death of William Randolph Hearst, but actually not William Randolph Hearst, Kane. Right? It's about it's just a character study. It's not about a goddamn sleigh. Anyways, I also watched Invincible. Have you guys been on this?
No? What is that?
a show?
What is that?
It's an animated So Invincible is a comic written by Robert Kirkland, who made The Walking Dead. And Amazon made a cartoon of it, which is currently airing. And it's good. I never read the comic, but the show is pretty good. I'm a bit familiar with the comic kind of through comic book osmosis. It's kind of like... Okay, so I'm just gonna give you like the basics, but believe me when I tell you that things get things change pretty quickly. But his name is Invincible, the main character, when he becomes a superhero. He's kind of like if Spider-Man was Superman's son. Right? His father is like this greatest superhero of them all, called Omni-Man, who's like a Homelander. He's like a Superman surrogate. You know, you can't use Superman in your movies or your properties, so you just create your own version of Superman. And that's who Omni-Man is. He's just Superman. Just like Mr. Majestic, just like the Sentinel, just like Hyperion, like all of these Superman ripoffs. Omni-Man is one of them, but he has a mustache and he's voiced by J.K. Simmons. So that's pretty good. And I don't really want to spoil it since you guys are unfamiliar with it. This one comes highly recommended, though. It's really good. It's way better than The Boys.
You know what also came highly recommended?
What?
All-Star Superman.
Yeah. But All-Star Superman, see, what I miscalculated with All-Star Superman, because All-Star Superman required you to have a kind of depth of knowledge about Superman and like as a literary character. This doesn't. If you know what superhero tropes are, you can jump right into this one. And I recommend you do. The first episode, I would say if you're not on board after the first episode, you can probably safely turn it off.
Is it totally like The Boys?
No, it's not like The Boys. It's so the thing about Invincible is that it's a story which has an ending. Like the Invincible run has ended. It began and it ended. It's not endless like Spider-Man or Batman or whatever. But it's just like this boy, Invincible. It's from when he gets his powers. And I don't know why it ended, so I'm kind of, like, I know some stuff about it. I don't want to spoil it, and I can't really talk much more about it without going into spoilers. I recommend checking out at least the first episode, and see if it grabs you. I've also been replaying Sekiro recently. I've been trying to get the Demon of Hatred down. That's a really annoying boss, but you can make him very easy if you use the fire umbrella. Did either one of you ever 100% that game?
No. I didn't even get to kill the last
Ishin?
because I was too annoyed.
Oh, you should have gotten good, Bogan. Did anyone tell you that?
No. Yeah.
Oh.
I was just done. I didn't enjoy that game.
I love that game. I think it's really good.
Is that your next video?
No, it's not my... I'm gonna do a commentary on it maybe next year, though. Like as a follow-up to my Bloodborne video. But yeah, I've just been playing that sort of casually. And seeing as I was the only one who brought up a video game, I suppose that's good enough of a video game talk. I didn't really have much to say about it.
It was like 2 sentences.
What do you want to know? It's Sekiro. Everybody knows Sekiro. You play...
Daniel hasn't played
Yes,
it.
you have.
I played a little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah, he played a little bit.
A little bit.
But it wasn't an audiobook, so he couldn't finish it. Oh.
That's true.
Yeah.
I just had a really...
It
I'm just really fucking
isn't on PSP.
terrible with the timing of the parries. Like, I've always been bad at that. So since the game is all about that, like, when I tried to play it, I was just like, man, I am just eating shit.
Yeah. Did anyone ever tell you should just get good? I got good. I get it good. You don't say get, you say get.
I prefer to say get good.
Get guts. From the Band of the Hawk. Berserk.
That's just... I don't know. I can appreciate what they were going for, but at the time it just felt like an elaborate Simon Says button prompt game.
Yeah, I can.
That sounds...
It was incredibly punishing. And I just...
I
didn't
think
enjoy
boiling down the gameplay to Simon Says is a bit reductive. I mean, granted, I haven't played it that much to truly say, but that sounds a bit shitty.
It has a story, Bogan. Did you know that? It's all about how this jackass Junichiro is ruining everything. But he thinks he's the hero. And he's voiced by Kaiba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, that's Sekiro talk. I suppose we'll talk about the essay topic after the break.
Okay.
Unless one of you has something to say.
Nah.
I did actually want to ask you, like, this is completely... Well, it's not completely random, but you are probably the only one who has watched that, if you have. Did you see The Invisible Man?
No.
Okay.
I've seen...
Did you, Daniel?
No.
I've seen Hollow Man with Kevin Bacon.
Okay. Not what I wanted to know.
Oh, sorry.
Just because I talked about horror movies where the horror is actually subtext for something else. Although I guess it isn't in that movie, but from what I heard, that is also a movie about like domestic abuse.
Yeah.
And being in a toxic relationship.
Yeah.
And so I'm interested, but since it's a somewhat mainstream movie, I'm scared of how jump scary.
Well,
it
it's
is.
made by Lee Vanell.
It might.
So
be.
it's probably at least like Lee Vanell gets better and better as a filmmaker. Apparently, he was talking about he wanted to do. He had an interview where he basically said that one of the big problems with modern monster movies, like with Dracula and stuff, and this was when he was asked about The Invisible Man, is that the core of these characters has been stripped out of them as they've been adapted over time, right? So Dracula is not scary because he sucks blood and he can turn into a bat. No, he comes from a time of sexual diseases being rampant, of this is why he's a bat and why he can turn into rodents. Like it's filth, it's disease. But he's also from that Victorian era where, you know, it's really about he's so sexual, and that was a big no-no. So there was this sort of allure to the filth that Dracula represented.
Are you saying Dracula is actually allegory this whole time?
Yeah, he was. He was all along. And that as these characters have continued lingering on, we remember the symbols, but we don't remember what they symbolized, kind of. And he talked about that with The Invisible Man. So he probably, I would imagine that The Invisible Man movie is good, if only because he got that. But more importantly, I'd want to see him do a Dracula movie, which he was talking about. Get Gary Oldman back. Maybe don't do that.
Nah.
Get Anthony Hopkins
Gonna
back.
be some shitty modern version of Dracula.
We don't need any more shitty versions of Dracula.
It's probably gonna be a good version. Anyways, we should take a break. I'm gonna stretch my legs,
right.
get something to drink, and
I need to...
Excuse me, Daniel?
No, go ahead.
And we'll be right back. How does the break theme go? We're out of the break, by the way. How does the break theme go?
Bum 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 doom doo doo doom doom. That's a
Oh yeah.
little thing from Persona 5.
That sounded a bit like what I sang.
Sure.
So I want to talk a bit about Boken's psychology here, because I wanted to. So we were thinking, what would be a good topic, and Boken said, I want to talk about the death of cinema and how that's so great, and I said, nah, let's talk about positivity, like positive gaming news, and he was like, oh, okay, and then when we were naming the episode, he was like, oh, hey, maybe we should be like positive developments in media. And he only said that because he's gonna say that he likes that cinemas are dying. So Bogan, why is that good?
None of this has happened, but okay.
This all happened!
I mean, it's...
You never said you only want to talk about gaming.
No! What? Before we started recording, I was like, hey, let's have positive gaming new development. Like, let's talk about that. Let's have positivity. And you were like, let's tack on my original topic.
Sure. But,
Way back when, in the Discord, you said, here's a topic idea. And I countered with positive gaming. Your topic idea was, I think you said it jokingly, the death of cinema. I think you have changed my positive gaming topic into positive media so that you can sneak your death of cinema talk in there. Am I wrong?
That's okay. No, you are completely wrong. Here is the actual chat log that happened. Acer, what about a cheery topic for a change? Daniel, such as Acer, positive development in recent years.
Surely I meant gaming.
No gaming mentioned.
I meant gaming.
And then you said, indies have never been better. Which is just an example that doesn't say that you only want to talk about gaming.
No,
and
wait.
And then I wrote, cinemas died.
Okay, but then
praying hands emoji.
Then I say tools are getting easier to use, so more people are making more ambitious games. I clearly was trying to pivot this towards a game-related episode.
And then I said, sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
The Good Vibes episode is what you said. At no point did you say we want to exclusively talk about gaming.
I hinted very strongly at it.
No, you didn't. You just named like a couple examples.
My examples are all gaming related for a reason.
So what?
I was on theme, and you have used the chat log against me. I feel attacked. Daniel isn't even trying to defend me. I feel that's very weak of him.
Nah, you're on your own.
Anyway, I always meant it as a game episode, but I see that I didn't clarify, so I suppose you are well within your right to bring up cinema. Why is that a good thing, Bogan? Why do you hate people? Is it because you don't like popcorn?
Oh, popcorn is nice.
Popcorn can be pretty nice.
Yeah.
I need something to snack on or sip on while I watch a movie. And popcorn has that quality where you can get a load of that and it takes you like, I can sit through a 2-hour movie and eat popcorn and then still have leftovers.
I can't. I finished my popcorn in the first 5 minutes.
No,
Oh Jesus!
I don't. Yeah, I don't necessarily need a snack while I watch a movie. I don't know.
You just play
I
a
do.
game?
It's an actual problem.
You shut your mouth, Acer.
What? I've thought about that.
Unless you're watching like the fucking schlocky horror movies that Boken watches, you have no right to watch them to like play a game while watching a movie. You fucking Philistine.
I've thought about taking my Nintendo Switch with me to the cinema.
Oh my god.
Because the people behind me, first of all, it's a very bright light. I'm not gonna dim it. Why would I? But they're also gonna be like, oh, he's playing. It's much more interesting being him than being me, watching the fucking Gremlins or whatever.
You're a monster.
I am a monster. But
it's like, okay, the perfect movie experience, right? For me is watching it with 2, 3, 4 friends, maybe. People who also have an interest in the film, who are quiet, but then sometimes you can just for a moment talk about the scene, or say like, oh, I noticed this, or have a question about something, like all that stuff where it's just you and a couple people and you're watching on a nice TV with a nice sound setup. That's all I want. That's all I need. You can take a break. You don't have to pay $15 for one ticket. Fuck movie theaters. They suck. I'm glad they're dead.
You do realize, Bogan, that without the big bucks you get from cinemas, the financial model of Hollywood blockbusters is unsustainable, and movies are gonna have to get smaller, and they can't be as safe as they've been. We can't use market research as much. This is what you look forward to?
What do you mean you have to make a movie in 90 minutes and it has to be concise and structured?
But where will I go if I want to see explosions, Bogan?
I'm sure there will be some explosions somewhere.
Maybe.
We can make those with CGI now.
I don't want to watch a CGI explosion. I want to watch a real explosion.
I mean, me too, but...
So I don't totally agree. I mean, so I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I think there is something to the theater experience. You know, there's something about the mood and the atmosphere.
Here comes Mr. Film Student with his snobby attitudes regarding the cinema experience.
I have a way better atmosphere at home where I don't have to constantly be annoyed by people around me.
Do you take your blanket down, or do you put it back up when you're watching the movies?
What?
For your audio setup, you put a blanket up.
That's for recording.
Yeah, do you put it up when you watch movies?
I watch movies on my couch. I record at my PC.
Okay.
Now, sure, sometimes you're going to get shitty people sitting around you that ruin the movie. Sometimes you're going to sit in the worst possible place in the theater and you'll be looking at the movie at like a weird angle, and that sucks.
And the guy in front of you is playing Breath of the Wild with the sound on. Yeah, sure. I
have not had that happen to me yet. That being said,
sometimes there's a group of like single mothers who don't know what to do with their children. So they bring them to the movie theater, and the children can't behave because they're fucking 10 and they're loud and annoying.
Yeah, and then you say,
punch them all.
And then you say, "Hey, could you keep it down?" And then they keep it down.
That's not what happens.
It always works for me.
So look, there are obvious cons. I'm not arguing against that. What I am advocating for, however, is the nice experience of, hey, I'm gonna go with my date, get some popcorn, get a drink, and we're gonna sit together in a nice dark
actually
theater.
if you're trying to seal the deal, cinemas are actually worse because you've already you get them in your house. You're pretty much done.
No,
unless you want to have
no. You're taking in
Well, you just want to watch a movie?
Yeah, like Asa's right. And
I
also
was-
in
I
the
was just
cinema, you
setting
can't really
up-
talk.
I was just setting
to be
up the
quiet.
fucking scene. You're focusing way too much on getting bone. No, we're not talking about the bone zone.
Okay.
We're just talking about, hey, you're having a nice night out with, a significant other, and it's nice to go to the theater, nice dark atmosphere, the two of you together watching a good movie. It's a nice atmosphere, it's a nice mood, it's a good experience. And then you can't get that anywhere. So you can't really get that at home. Like, sure, you can watch.
I can go to other places, though. I don't need to watch a movie if I want to go out with a date.
It's not just. Oh my God! It's not just about going out on a date. I'm just talking about the nice theater experience. You can only get the theater experience at the fucking theater, and I don't think that should be taken away. Why is that so wrong?
I think the nice theater experience is a myth.
Oh, no, it's not. I've had
like a
I've
shiny
had plenty
Pokemon.
I've had plenty of great theater experiences. I've had some bad ones too. Yes, I've had moms, complaining in behind me, kids crying. What? Yes, all this shitty stuff. Yes, that's happened too. It happened.
Did I ever tell you guys about the time I went to see Pirates of the Caribbean 2 in cinemas?
What about it?
No.
So, my friend's mom, no, my mom's friend, he was like the Icelandic boxing champion in some division, and I practiced boxing. He was like our teacher for a few weeks, and he like I said, he was my mom's friend, and I went with him, and we went to see Pirates of the Caribbean 2. And all throughout the first half, he was on his cell phone, sending texts and making calls. And the guy behind us decided that this meant that he could also use his cell phone. But the moment he began, the boxing champion, who I was with, he started yelling at him like, "Hey, could you shut the hell up? I'm trying to watch the movie." And they were like going at it. And then when the intermission came, he asked me like, "Hey, do you want anything?" And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm good." And he was like, "You sure you don't want like a little soda or something?" I think I had another little soda and a little popcorn. But anyway, he went out and he like bought it. And then when he came back, it was like, he brought me my food. And then they started playing the movie. But the guy who was sitting behind us didn't come back. So I gotta imagine that the national boxing champion just murdered a man on the outside during intermission. Oh, I also love that he got mad when the other guy was on his phone. He was on his phone the whole time.
You did actually tell the story.
Did I? I probably did when
but,
we were doing a commentary once.
You didn't mention that it was Pirates of the Caribbean 2. So I didn't know that was the story.
Yeah, it was during one of our commentaries, probably.
No.
Oh.
Daniel's just forgetful.
I am.
He's just getting old.
Anime boomer.
I'm an old man. Oh, my back.
See, but Boken, you can't get that at home.
Great. That sounds like a wonderful thing.
It's such a unique experience, Boken. You're depriving yourself.
Yeah. Anyways, enough about cinema. I wanted to talk about video games. Positive video game development.
Video games.
Video games. So first of all, indies have never been better, right?
Sure.
Have they? I don't know.
They've never been better. I played a game recently. Do you know about that Ronald game I told you about where it was Slenderman? I found it! I was just looking for it on the wrong site. It wasn't removed. I played a game recently where you're running away from a crazy McDonald's clown. You can't get that. Anywhere else?
Probably not, I guess.
That means indie games have never been better.
There is an indie game I wanted to talk about called Anatomy. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, we've also talked about it on the podcast, Daniel, you and I.
Oh, well, forget it then.
God damn it. Why are you so bad?
I'm an old man. Leave me alone.
Was I there? Because I don't remember this.
Yeah, probably.
Okay,
It's about
okay,
the-
Acer, if you have such sterling fucking memory, why don't you tell me what anatomy is about?
It's the game where you're in the house.
And
It's like a metaphor for being swallowed, and you find like these BioShock diary logs, audio logs, where you hear about like, oh, you know, the this room is the this of the body, and like slowly you're just walking through this really dark and atmospheric house,
yes.
and you
okay,
get
yeah,
really
that's
creeped
it.
out.
Yeah, that's the right game.
Yeah.
That was
When did you talk about this? Was
This-
a couple weeks ago? Or?
No, I think Acer and I may have talked about it not on the podcast. We
I'm
may
pretty
have just...
sure. I'm pretty sure we talked about it on the podcast.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, I think we were talking about Kitty Horror Show, and then Anatomy got brought up.
Maybe.
I am pretty certain I wasn't there.
Maybe you were, maybe you weren't. Maybe you're the old man, Boken.
No, you're the old man. Maybe he's also an old man, but you are definitely an old man, Daniel.
I am. This is true. I can't deny this.
Hey, Boomer is a state of mind, okay?
Bogan is eternally 14.
We're going to call you BB for short, Boken. Boken the Boomer.
You're the Boomer. Fuck off.
I'm actually a millennial. Leave me alone. I get enough shit. Me and my people get
As
enough
I said,
shit.
Boomer is a state of mind.
Yeah.
My fellow millennials get enough shit. I don't need the label
Yeah.
of boomer too.
You millennials, Daniel, are the most entitled generation that ever was. You keep getting your you can't do anything right. You have to hire an expert. Why can't you put together a goddamn file cabinet like your papa? That's you, Daniel.
Fuck file cabinets. They suck.
No.
Take this.
Where are you gonna
file
keep your
cabinet,
files?
Shove it up your ass.
Another good development of recent years is that
See, hold on. I'm gonna say indies are good. I also would say they have been good for like 10 years. I'm not sure how to measure that they have been never better.
because I would simply put that, see, this could go directly into the next one, is that it's getting easier and easier to make games. So people of more stripes are coming in and bringing in new, different ideas. So even if the quality varies, we've never had as much experimentation. And that always boils up into better quality over the entire industry over the long term. And
I feel like that experimentation isn't really seeping into.
well, it is.
The
It is if
mainstream, though.
it is if you it's seeping into other indies, I think. That's enough for me. I don't play AAA games for quality anymore. Except if it's like
Sure.
Kojima or Fumito Ueda or
I'm just
something.
trying to think. What is the like Undertale, for example? That has been a massive indie hit that came out of nowhere,
Yeah?
and it influenced so much, and it left so many impressions on so many people. And I'm trying to find that came out in 2015, I think. Trying to really think about a game that has had that much impression on just general gaming. Since
I don't
then.
know if you can necessarily find like a giant hit that everybody influenced, but you see stuff like Sonic,
I guess Hollow Knight.
maybe Hollow Knight.
Yeah, Hollow Knight's a big one.
But I was gonna say you have stuff like Sonic Mania where there is more and more connections being built between like the big developers and the little guys. So like I'm not a Sonic fan. I think Sonic, like, hot take, I think all of his games suck. I've never liked him. I've never liked any of his weird friends. But that's like that's a good game, Sonic Mania. And that's, those guys weren't they from, like, they built ROMs of Sonic or something?
Yeah, they were people that were part of the like Sonic homebrew community, and they would create like ROM hacks, and they would make like their own levels and stuff. And these are hardcore fans that have been like in the community for a long time, and that have been doing their own like fan projects.
Yeah, and Undertale McGee, he used to do Earthbound ROM hacks, I believe.
Toby Fox.
I said that.
Undertale McGee.
It would have made more sense if you called him Sans Undertale.
Oh. Is that the skeleton?
Yes.
See, I know who he is. But, that's my phone. But, yeah, like, more ambitious projects, too. You have stuff like Hellblade. That's an indie thing. And if you had told...
Yeah,
kind of. But, like, if you would have shown somebody Hellblade 10 years ago and said, this is an indie game, kind of, they wouldn't have believed you.
No, they absolutely not.
Is that actually an indie game?
I think it is.
Isn't it a Koei Tecmo game?
No.
No, wait.
No, we're talking about the Ninja Theory game.
Yeah, not Team Ninja.
No, not Team Ninja.
Ninja Theory. I mean, Ninja Theory got bought up by Microsoft. Did they not have a publisher before?
They did get bought out recently, but when they made Hellblade, they released it independently.
Okay.
Yeah, if you would have shown somebody Hellblade 10 years ago, they wouldn't have thought that's a small studio. They would have thought, what is this magical witchcraft you're showing me on your picture box, Sonny?
Yeah, so I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it now. Yeah, Ninja Theory were their own developer and publisher for Hellblade.
That said, however, people keep bringing up Hellblade. There haven't been that many games like that since.
No.
Hellblade 2 is coming.
Yeah, but now that they've been bought out by Microsoft, it's not really the same thing anymore.
No, but see, I don't think we're going to get an Undertale every year. I think we're going to get small tricklings which gradually sort of coat themselves over the entire indie sphere. You have more storefronts opening up which give more, like itch.io, I think it is, give way more revenue to indie developers. Like, just the idea of being an indie game developer as a career, that's not a joke. You can actually just, even if your game doesn't sell 1 million copies, you can live pretty comfortably just releasing a game, selling 50,000 copies or whatever, have a small niche following. That's like a real career people can have now. And I think that's very interesting in terms of, you have so many, like with Kitty Horror Show, that's such a niche developer where that's not something, like, that's not maybe possible at scale, but with such small indie games, you can get that. You know?
Sure. I mean, I'm looking at my Steam right now, and I'm like, particularly the Metroidvanias, and there's like a bunch of indie games.
Yeah.
You know, there's VVVVV, there's a Scourgebringer. I don't know if Ori and the Blind Forest was indie. Kinda is, kinda isn't. I don't know.
It's a good development, regardless.
Not. That's a Microsoft game.
Okay.
But yeah, so like
I remember. I think I said this even when I reviewed Ori 2 on here.
Yeah.
Where I was playing that game the entire time, thinking it was an indie game, or having little of a budget, and then the credits started rolling, and they didn't stop rolling.
The credits stopped rolling, and they don't stop rolling. But so,
and I was shocked how many people are working at Moon Studios or whatever it's called.
Yeah, but so like that being a small indie developer, that there are enough gamers interested in indie games now that being a small indie game developer is a real career at this point. That is an incredible development. And long term, that's going to become, I think, a much bigger thing. Like, this is, people don't really talk about that, but you have like mini Kojimas all over the world now who just don't have his budgets or his reach. But I think that's going to change gradually.
I think what's makes something indie or not though is kind of weird if you think, because there's this game called Dust in Elysian Tale, and that is a pretty cool game. Apparently it was made by like one dude, but I'm looking at the Steam page and it was published by Xbox Game Studios, which is really weird because there's a PS4 version. So I don't know how the fuck that works.
Xbox is sort of, that's another sort of positive development which we can maybe get into. But see, I don't want to spend too much time splitting hairs on what is and isn't an indie. I'm just looking at, this is a really good development. Also, I think specifically we could talk about Xbox a bit. I think Phil Spencer.
Spencer.
Yeah, he's a genius. That man must have an IQ of 200, where he is placing the Xbox as the intermediary between consoles and PCs.
Wait, Acer, are you saying he watches Rick and Morty?
Probably. You know, you have Jim Ryan over at PlayStation with his BoJack Horseman sad show, but Phil Spector, he watches Rick and Morty. Spencer, sorry. But yeah, I think like that is a really good development, that now there is a console which can get you mods. And I know, like, yeah, PlayStation, Fallout 4, you can technically do mods. Yeah. Like, that, the idea of what a console is transforming pretty rapidly. You have stuff like gamepads, you have Xbox's devotion to backwards compatibility. Those are all great developments. Nintendo, their standards for getting onto their consoles are, I don't want to say they keep dropping their standards. They just keep accepting more varieties of games.
I guess, yeah, that is a good development. The Switch being a generally indie-friendly platform, and also them like featuring indies in their Nintendies? I don't know.
Oh, the Nintendo Directs.
They have these extra segments in their Nintendo Directs.
Yeah.
Which is good.
That is good. Didn't they showcase a Konami game recently in that? I don't know. What are some other good developments we can point to?
I mean, I'm gonna say shonen anime has been pretty good lately.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think One Piece has been going on for, 20 years now? And it's still pretty damn good.
Isn't the animation quality in One Piece in the toilet recently?
No. Oh. It's fluctuating, but recently it has been getting actually pretty damn good.
Someone at Toei Animation
the last
put
arc
money
was
in
questionable.
it. How does the Doflamingo arc look?
Oh, I don't remember. I remember it having some rough spots, honestly, but I think the main fights are still fairly decently animated.
Doflamingo was the one I was looking forwards to.
But you can still look forward to it.
I guess.
Isn't that a One Piece character?
What do you think we're talking about?
We're talking about One Piece.
Oh.
God damn, Daniel, you are old.
I mean, like One Piece in particular is such an odd duck because, oh yeah, Daniel's now forgetting.
Like 10 seconds ago.
Mid-sentence what he's talking about. So just rapidly decaying mind.
I thought we were talking about Silent Hill.
What the hell? We were not talking about, like, wow. Oh, because I said Konami like 5 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Man.
Jesus
Christ.
It's
time to put Daniel in a home, guys. Wow.
But yeah, One Piece is such an odd duck because point to any other story that has been ongoing for that long and is still going strong?
Star Wars.
You probably can't. No.
I was only kidding.
But then, aside from that, I've just been enjoying shonen a lot lately. I mean, JoJo's getting anime. I think the Part 5 anime actually made me like that more than I ever did with the manga. Demon Slayer as an anime has been fantastic. Jujutsu Kaisen.
What's that? Jujutsu Kaisen.
I've heard stuff about that one.
Jujutsu Emperor. He just made a noise.
I can't tell if you're fucking with me.
Is that... No, that's Jujutsu Kaisen. No, that's Kaiser. What's Kaisen?
I talked about this in the last episode.
Oh, I haven't edited it yet.
Fuck, people. What is going on? Is the virus getting to you? Or?
It's crossing. It went from Florida. It's crossing the Atlantic. It reached me a few seconds ago. It's coming for you next, Bogan.
Just to be clear, the Silent Hill thing was a joke.
Yeah, right.
No.
He comes out 5 minutes after the fact.
But the Jujutsu Kaisen thing wasn't a joke?
No, I didn't remember the name. It's been like 2 weeks since we recorded. I don't remember these names. I don't speak Japanese.
Yeah, but Daniel also was like, "Oh, I heard about that." Yeah, from me.
No,
you
not from
fuck.
No, not from you. That's just a popular anime.
But you did hear it from him. This is... I don't know if people will say this is a positive development. Daniel's degrading mental state.
No.
Who am I? What's going on here?
Where's... Well, Margaret, say that city boy came into town earlier. He came with a batch of eggs.
Where are my pills?
So yeah, other positive developments.
Daniel,
I'm struggling.
From Software keeps working on Elden Ring, allegedly.
Yeah. Elden
As a
Ring.
general, I would not see the Dark Souls series as a positive development.
I would.
I think that the more space and time away from it I get, the more I realize that it has been going downhill. And that I really only care about Dark and Demon Souls.
Yeah, but even then, even if it's like a watered down version of that, sort of crosses into the mainstream, that's still a much better mainstream than what was going on. Like, I'd much rather play another watered down Dark Souls than whatever putrid garbage Naughty Dog is cooking up.
That is true.
I don't agree with that. I think, Dark and Demon might arguably be like the most original, which is why you like them the most, because that's your brainworm. But I don't know. Dark Souls 3, I still think is pretty good. And
Bloodborne?
It was pretty good, but it just can't have the same impact as the first ones.
But I think that's what makes it interesting, where it takes advantage of the fact that, yes, this is Dark Souls 3, and then it's calling back to the older games in a way, but also is a commentary of sorts of like, yeah, this series can't go on any longer. That's why at the end of Dark Souls 3, everything is fucking dust, because this is the series taken to an extreme breaking point. You can't do anything else with this series, and this is the developers acknowledging that. I think that's really interesting.
But then Bandai came in, put a gun on the table and said, "You're not ending this franchise, you jackasses. You have to rewrite it all. I know it's 4 months before release. I don't care. Rewrite it." And then they were like, "Oh, crap." And Miyazaki was like, "Don't worry, guys. We can save this script. We'll just change Dark Souls 3 to Elden Ring." And then he went on. leaving them to rewrite it. Sekiro was a pretty good evolution from Souls, I think, where
I don't know if I'd call it an evolution though, because it feels very distinctly
no. But
thing.
see, I would say it is very clearly an evolution from Bloodborne, where the problem with Bloodborne was that one problem was it gives you weapons like how Dark Souls did, where you just find them laying around the world. But that doesn't make a lot of sense for Bloodborne, because you have to devote yourself way more to each weapon. Like, your weapon is your build. But for Sekiro, they don't do that. Like, every build uses the katana, the same sword, and what differentiates you is the trick arm that you use. And you get access to... Can you hear that? Somebody's working down below. What differentiates it's not really builds in Sekiro, but what differentiates playstyles is what prosthetic tools you use, but also which fighting arts you decide to study. So you can devote yourself to, like, you know what, I want to do more posture damage. Or you could go, I want to have more posture resistance or vitality, and then you go with like the Ashina fighting style. So I think it is a really good evolution of how you build a character in this sort of game.
I don't know if I'd call it an evolution though. To me it just seems more like a different take, because Sekiro is more about mastering a base fundamental with the katana and whatever else the main character can do, and then you have some agency, I guess, over the more auxiliary elements, like you said, the sword arts or the prosthetic. And Bloodborne is more about, like, no, you have separate builds. You have this character that uses the great sword that turns into the sledgehammer or whatever. Like, it's about mastering different play styles, while Sekiro is about mastering the one play style. It's just a different way of going about it.
See, I would say it is an evolution, but I don't know if we need to have this debate here, especially since that's not really this episode.
It's not.
But yeah, what other positive developments in recent years can you guys think about? Shatner is still alive, sadly. No, I like Shatner.
The drama between him and Red Letter Media was entertaining.
That was funny. But that's not a development, Daniel. Not really. That's a really sad development.
I don't know. I can't really think of any, like, quote-unquote developments that have happened recently where I'm like, yeah, that's great.
I'm hoping for the pandemic to actually improve just in general online play. Just companies being forced to acknowledge the online platforms that they have, and that they improve the net codes and the online functionality and the lobbies.
I will say this,
but at the same time, I'm kind of scared that it might just kill offline events for a lot of genres.
I will say this: the pandemic has led to a lot of great music.
Yeah, but that's not what this podcast is about.
You shut your mouth.
I hate music. I don't want to talk about music. It's like
fucking.
It's like poison to me.
Imagine hating music. Jesus Christ.
I know. Terrible. So, Between the Buried and Me are working on a new album. That's awesome. Liquid Tension Experiment 3 finally came out after I don't know how many years. That's fucking awesome. Like, we got some pretty good tunes recently. Queens of the Stone Age are working on something. Like, the pandemic has made it so all these artists are like, well, shit, we got nothing better to do. We got to make stuff. Devin Townsend's coming out with some new stuff.
You only like him because his name is funny.
No, I like him because his music is genuinely great.
We'll see about that.
I mean, I'm gonna say I actually agree. I have been listening to...
That you only like him because his name is funny?
To the Spotify release radar for months now, and I found so many good bands.
Good.
I don't know if they've always been there, but just recently I found so much new music like I haven't found in the last 10 years.
Yeah, and like I said, it's all these bands are just coming out with stuff. All these bands are because they can't tour. They can't. They need to find something to do, and they need to find some way to make more money. So, what else can they do but to like sit down, just like fuck it, we got to write stuff, we got to produce stuff, we got to release stuff. And yeah, lots of good stuff have been coming out. The Deer Hunter are coming out with a new album as well. Gojira released a few singles that were really good. I'm looking forward to that new album. Just a whole bunch of stuff. And onto Boken's point, like it's also made me appreciate more music as well. Like for a while, I've kind of struggled with the band, the Mars Volta. I know Boken's not a huge fan of them, but for a while, I've kind of struggled with their music. But recently, I've had more time to just like dig into their back catalog, and I've really learned like that there's still certain elements of their music that I'm not a huge fan of, but I've really grown to appreciate what makes their music so unique and special, particularly in how the first 4 albums compare to the last 2, because the last 2 albums they felt a bit more straightforward and commercial. But when you go back to Francis the Mute, Bedlam and Goliath, Amputecture, Delouse and the Comatorium, these albums have a certain energy to them. There's like a certain like darkness and chaos and like mysteriousness to them that's kind of absent in the last 2. And sometimes that can be a little hard to appreciate when they have fucking like 4 minutes of bells ringing in the title track of Francis the Mute for some fucking reason. Sometimes they do weird shit like that I don't appreciate. But at the same time, they also do shit like the song Day of the Baphomets, which is like insane. That song is fucking insane for like 10 straight minutes. And it's like one of the best songs I've ever heard. So what I'm saying is go listen to Mars Volta. They're really good. Music has been good recently. Fuck you. Listen to
I will
Amputecture.
also not listen.
It's a good album.
I will not be listening. I refuse. I think our listeners should also refuse out of solidarity.
Well,
fuck you guys.
You know what I am?
Denying the great music.
You know what I'm thankful for? We got the Snyder Cut like 3 months ago or whatever.
Which apparently is not as terrible as we thought it was going to be.
I didn't think it was going to be terrible. Thought it was going to be... yeah, that's fine. And it kind of was.
Do you think that's going to be a development? Releasing the blah blah cut?
I think we're going to get the Suicide Squad cut.
We're going to get the Rise of Skywalker cut?
No!
I don't think Disney will do it. Because if they give us Rise of Skywalker, like the full movie, then people are going to be up their ass for a decade about getting the Lord and Miller cut, and they would not let that out. I don't think.
See, what I thought you were going to say is they're going to bug them to give us the original versions of the original trilogy.
Oh well, they're gonna do that forever. George Lucas has editorial rights over those movies, so even if Disney wanted to, and they probably do, it's free money. They can't. George Lucas can just veto down any changes to his changes. Because he's a dick.
it's like
but
why
here's the thing.
Why does he need to be like that? People want it, just give it to him. Just why?
Because he spent 20 years with people calling him all the worst names in the world, and he's a grumpy old man, and he has a right to do it. But also, if you care at this point, like you can watch the original movies completely unchanged online. You can watch HD special revisions, which the fans have done frame by frame.
Yes,
this isn't a fight people can pick anymore. But I think the Lord and Miller cut is something people will be up about if
what is the Lord? What is that?
That's the original Solo movie.
Oh, okay.
Who gives a flying fuck about that movie?
That is the only Star Wars movie I care about as of late, because I want to see why they were fired. I want to see what they did that was so bad that they got Ron Howard in.
I don't know if that is a widespread sentiment.
I think
maybe it is. I don't know.
I think some people talk about it, but yeah, I think you can argue that the Snyder Cut was sort of mired in fan base toxicity at some levels, but I think that was a good development, if only because more power to creatives. And I would actually like to see the original 4-hour cut of The Dark Knight Rises, though I don't think Christopher Nolan will ever release that.
You know what's a good development?
What is?
Someone had the fucking gumption to make a video about demo reel.
What is that?
Nostalgia Critics skit show.
Oh.
How's that a good development?
So, for the uninitiated, the Doug Walker, creator of Nostalgia Critic, tried to retire the Nostalgia Critic. And he tried to make a new show called Demo Reel, which is garbage. Just for all intents and purposes, an utter failure. Just terrible. And
okay, but before we go on, good to him. Try new things.
Yes.
But it's a failure, okay?
Yes. It's actually really funny because when he brought back the Nostalgia Critic, he made a video about it. And when you look back at that video in hindsight, like it's like the critic is taunting him, like Doug Walker himself, with like, you need me. And it's like, it's this really kind of cynical of just like defeated sort of like Doug can't escape his own creation. So he when he tried to do something new, it backfired so hard. And now he's just like given up. And he's just like, well, fuck it. I guess I'll just do Nostalgia Critic again.
I think the thing about Nostalgia Critic, why he retired it, isn't it because like one of his friends got the rights to the character temporarily while they were creating a corporate structure and just never relinquished the rights? So there's just some guy who owns the right to Nostalgia Critic who's just a massive dick, isn't that? Am I wrong?
Apparently,
I remember.
I remember
reading
about that.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I've heard something about that. I don't know. I don't think that's the reason why he tried to retire the character, though. I think he genuinely wanted to do something different.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So there's a video by a YouTuber named Lady Emily called "The Failure of Channel Awesome's Demo Reel." And it is a fucking ride. So I just wanted to bring it up. Watch it. It's fucking incredible. That I applaud her for actually sitting down, watching and analyzing fucking demo reel and talking about it so that we don't have to. So yeah, this has just been an elaborate shout out to Lady Emily's really good video.
You know what other development has been kind of good? I feel like the blurring between the quote-unquote professional, like AAA industries, whether it be big Hollywood movies or big games, and more sort of independent creators. I feel the pandemic has sort of blurred it because, I don't know, well, maybe not the pandemic, but I don't know what I'm trying to say here. Just a pile on the point I made earlier. But yeah, more power to creatives. Except if they're gonna do a demo reel, apparently. Then it's okay to laugh at them.
Anyways, I think we've exhausted this topic.
Yeah.
This was a pretty.
I really don't have that many positive developments.
This was a pretty
honestly.
loose topic to begin with, so whatever.
Yeah, but I was like, yeah, let's spread some positivity, sure. But there really isn't that much.
I think
all in all, gaming is still in a fairly disappointing state.
I'm very optimistic. I think that that independent developers can have their own...
Indie-dependent?
Yeah. It's a new language I'm trying out. It's called English. I think that the ability of indie developers to just have games cater to their own little niches that do well enough for them to live comfortably, I think this is the beginning of a really powerful stream, I think. You have Xbox with Game Pass, you have backwards compatibility. Like, at this point, 7 years down the line, we get the PlayStation 6. If it doesn't have backwards compatibility, why the fuck would anybody buy that? Like, this has to become, like, it is the industry standard. I was appalled that it wasn't in the PlayStation 5. It must be in the PlayStation 6. We are at that point. I think, also,
I don't know.
I think with, like, these services like Game Pass, I think Sony's gonna cook up something. Nintendo probably, they're all gonna do it. I think more power to consumers. Game Pass apparently is just like the greatest deal you can possibly get. It's also a really good way to promote indie games, I hear.
Apparently, yeah, but people talk about Game Pass. People do not talk about the Series X at all.
Sure, but I think all of these things will be copied by the competitors. Maybe better, maybe worse, but I think there are... the only thing I think is negative about the future of video games is basically, non-experimental AAAs, but AAAs by definition aren't experimental. You can't sink $100 million into a risky bet when you can just go with a safe Horizon Zero Dawn. But if you remove the blockbusters out of the equation, I think games have never been better, and I think they're only going to get better. So yeah, that's my optimistic outlook.
Well, fingers crossed.
I don't know. I think most of the games of this decade of the last decade that I loved came out around the midpoint, 2015, 2016.
2017 came out with some fucking bangers.
17 was... No, 16 was Breath of the Wild?
No.
No. We've had this talk.
Oh, that was 17. Okay.
Now you forgot something too, Bogan. We've already had this talk.
Yes, we've had this 2017 talk before.
I remember 2019 being pretty okay, with Sekiro. Didn't we get RE2 remake?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I remember there were some other games in 2019.
Well, there have always been decent games in every year. 2017 was incredibly insane in general. But the games that really stuck with me are like 2015, 2016, like Fury, The Witness, what is it called? Night in the Woods. I'm not sure if I would say that recent indie games have been better than that. I wouldn't know how to put that in any metric.
I think,
well, I mean, you can still... Yeah, okay, Daniel?
I think what you were trying to say, Acer, is that indie games have been in the best place now than they have been before. They've been more accepted now than they've been before. They've been more profitable. Not necessarily that the best indie games are coming out now.
Yeah, I'm not saying like year by year I'm saying they raise the level of distribution, the amount of things they're able to do, the amount of experimentation. Quality is always going to vary across years. But like the next 2017 whenever that is probably going to be way crazier than 2017 was. Just because it's going to build on the experimentation that's been done since.
Well, but 2017 was also a strong year for AAA games.
Sure.
Or AA, I don't know. I mean, it had Zelda, it had Nier Automata.
I need to replay that game one day. I remember getting stuck in some place because the game refused to advance, and I was like, fuck this game. But I think I liked it, though. So.
But yeah, I guess in general, games are in a decent state. You can find something for any taste right now. It's just that the AAA market has incredible problems.
Yes.
And I want to say that I recently saw an info tweet or whatever that pointed to the fact that game sales in themselves only make up about 25% of the value of video games nowadays, of the industry.
Well, the rest is just microtransactions?
Yeah. Everything around that, like subscriptions, microtransactions.
Yeah, I can buy that.
Stuff.
You know what?
DLC.
We crap on Sony a lot. Their their main games are not very intrusive with that sort of stuff.
No, they're not at all.
I don't like what they did with God of War. I didn't like The Last of Us 2, but hats off to them. There's no prompt I saw where it was like, pay $5 and you can get this different, skin. I don't know if there is such a thing, but I at least wasn't assaulted with it. If there is, you have to search for it.
But if the only way you can make a profitable AAA narrative-driven game is this insane marketing and this conformity to just the most bare-bone basic trends that you can come up with, I don't know. I think
that's like you can look at that and say that is the final, like those are the death kicks of a business model that isn't sustainable. I don't think this is going to continue. I think games are going to get smaller. I think, like, if I'm right and we get more indie developers with their own niche fan bases, why wouldn't Sony say, hey, this guy sells games to 50,000 people. Why don't we give him $1 million and then he'll sell 10,000 consoles? And this guy will sell another 10 and this another 10 and this another 10. I don't know. I feel like all the streams are working and the currents are going in the right directions, You're
kind of ignoring games as a service and online games in general, which are massive.
Yeah, but you also have stuff like Avengers, where this is not a safe bet. Like, the Avengers, the most bankable IP you could possibly get when it came out, and it was this horrible disaster. It's like
the fact that game fucking flopped is a positive development.
Yeah, it's like when studios finally realized, like, how many World of Warcraft clones did they have to did they make before they realized, oh, this isn't, like, sinking $100 million into this is not a safe investment. And I think that's what's ultimately going to happen with the over-budgeting of AAA games.
I mean, there's a reason why Final Fantasy XIV initially was like a huge fucking flop disaster.
Yeah.
Eventually,
because it was poorly made.
There can be one rival. It can be Final Fantasy XIV.
You can have a Star Wars, The Old Republic.
Well, but that's not, no.
No, I think that does okay money. You can have an Elder Scrolls Online, which I think also does okay.
I'm going to assume, I have not played those games, but I'm going to assume they have whittled those games down to a level where they actually found the profit margin.
Yeah.
In terms of what the fan base is willing to pay and what they can actually put into it.
Yeah. That definitely happened with Star Wars: The Old Republic. I don't know about Elder Scrolls.
I assume that is the case there too, because remember the press conferences of Bethesda, where there was sort of a in between like, oh, there's new Elder Scrolls Online content, and then 3 people cheered. And I'm sure those 3 people are very energetic about that, but all in all, no one cares.
Yeah. I mean, currently, I was actually surprised when I found out that Old Republic is still going, and right now it's like free to play.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I remember when it first came out back like 10 years ago? Something like that?
Yeah. 2011? I don't remember.
And I think there was excitement for it at first, just because people are like, "Oh my God, finally, something that's vaguely, similar to Knights of the Old Republic." But then it came out, and everyone hated it.
Yeah, well, see, it was a World of Warcraft for Star Wars fans, but the Star Wars fans wanted another Knights of the Old Republic, and the World of Warcraft fans that would have played it already had World of Warcraft. So
yes.
It was a game for everyone and no one. But it sort of found its feet after some time.
It found its niche.
Yeah.
Do you guys think the establishment of the Epic Store is a positive development?
Yes, and yeah, because I think competition on the storefront is a good thing. Like,
sure.
They get more money into the hands of developers to finish their products in exchange for exclusivity on their storefronts.
They're also bleeding money like crazy.
Yeah, but Amazon bled money for a long time. Google bled money. Like businesses don't make money in the first years anymore.
Well, no, but that's not the case for Epic. They're bleeding money. At least I assume they make all that up with Fortnite.
Yeah, that's the thing. They are bleeding money, but it doesn't even matter because Fortnite is like the infinite money generator.
And they
it's
also
more like Google just brute forcing themselves into a new technology.
No.
Like
when Google began, it didn't make money, and like Twitter didn't make money, and Amazon didn't make money.
But that's not the situation right now
with Epic.
With Epic,
yeah. I think it is. I think it's just here's a store page, and we're willing to put $2 billion of losses for the next 6 years. And we bet that if we do that, then we'll get enough players that we'll be able to make up the losses over the next 10 years. I think there's a reason Sony bought $200 million worth of Epic recently, in addition to their previous purchase of, $250 million? Yeah, I think they're playing the long game of we want to have a very big share of PC gaming.
Oh, sure.
And I think...
I'm just saying... there's a difference between a company that starts out and has nothing and is bleeding money to invest, or a company that already has a steady stream of a very large income and is willing to put some of that aside for the future.
Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I think the Epic Store it has negatives, but I think like it's more positive than negative, I would say. Just like how, with a lot of these developments, there's a lot of positives if you're willing to look for them.
Yeah, I also think it's a good development. It wouldn't be if it leads to 50 million other stores being opened up. But maybe that's not the case, because clearly it takes a lot of money to even get into that space.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, I think that's the Good Vibes episode wrapped up.
That's about as much good vibes as you can expect out of us.
I'm super positive. Anyways, what have you guys been doing? What are you working on? Daniel?
The Silent Hill 4 video is still in production. It should be out soonish.
Okay.
Aside from that, been writing some stuff, been, working on some stuff here and there. But the Silent Hill 4 one has been the main focus. Should be out. Maybe either around when this episode is uploaded or just before or just after. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. And you, Bogan? I hear you have interesting news.
I did finish 98% of my Bojack audio, and I've already edited it.
Nice.
I did rewrite the ending, so I need to record that still, but whatever.
Cool. Good job.
Yeah.
That is a good job. When do you think it'll be out?
No idea.
Hmm.
I'm not editing myself.
Acer, how do you have the fucking gumption to just fucking like, yeah, I'm gonna write 7 hours worth of shit?
I just do.
Do you ever like edit yourself? Do you look back and be like, oh, I should change this? Or are you just like, fuck it, just go and then just print?
Well, the original script was written in 2 or 3 weeks, but then I recorded all of that. I re-recorded the footage, and I had to rewrite the script to fit the new video, and like 70% of the rewritten script made it in, and then I was watching it and I went, this part is crap, this part is crap, this part is crap, this part is crap, I need to fix this, mark that down, and then I rewrote those parts, and then it was just like a few months of moving stuff around.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I've continued working on the demo for my game. I don't think I'll have it finished before April ends, in which case I'll probably have it done in June. But in May, I'm gonna do a video on Shadow Tower and The Last Guardian.
Oh,
so that's gonna be interesting.
Shadow Tower, interesting.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do most of the old FromSoft games. Not all of them. They have a lot of dots.
I hear that Shadow Tower is the Demon Souls of the Kingsfield style games.
I would say Kingsfield 1 is the Demon Souls of them. But I get that in the sense that it's much harder. It's much darker. Yeah, I can get that.
It's much darker Souls.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yes.
So anyway, that's been the Essays in Espresso Good Vibes episode. I hope you have good vibes, people. I think the future is looking good. Bogan thinks not so much.
Nothing but good vibes.
And
was I supposed to react?
Yeah, you were supposed to react.
Okay, with what?
Do you think the future looks good?
In general, no.
Anyways, that's the Essays in Espresso episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I need my pills.